Go. Welcome to our live today. We are so excited to be here with you, and really excited to take on a subject that is very sensitive. It's almost like talking about close family members, right? And so, and it's almost like when you're in a family and it's like you can be critical of your family, but you don't want others to be critical of your family, that kind of thing. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is that very sensitive subject of lead quality, and how do we really improve the lead quality? Because it's interesting. We hear from attorneys all the time, and some say like my leads are okay. No one ever gets super excited about their lead quality, right? No one ever. We've talked to
Too good.
firms. We talked to thousands of law firms, and none of them ever say, oh, my lead quality is just absolutely pristine. It's amazing, right? Some say it's better than others. But regardless of where you're at right now, we're going to talk about how do you improve your lead quality? What can you do to have better leads come in the door? Because we've had the experience, Colleen and Gary, where we've talked to firms where one firm says, I've got better leads, and the other firm says I have terrible leads. And then if you were to switch them, the other firm would say, oh no, these leads aren't terrible at all. These are amazing leads, right? And so what can someone do to really improve their lead quality? And I'm going to get us started today. Okay. Normally we'd have Gary or Colleen, but I'm going to get us started, and I'm going to say this. And by the way, we're going to touch on 3 specific things you can do, but I'm going to add a 4th one in that neither of you know about at the end. That's just going to kind of throw both of you for a loop. Okay. And that is this. But number one, get crystal clear on your target market. And so I'm saying it, but Colleen and Gary, I'll ask your input. Why is being crystal clear on your target market so critical for the quality, attracting the right leads to your firm?
So I'll jump in.
Okay.
So I know it should be ladies first, Colleen. But
No. I'm processing it. I'm coming up with a better answer. So go.
So the way I always think about marketing and communication in this type of process is, and I think it's probably something everybody's really heard, but good marketing, good sales, heck, even good listening involves you entering the conversation that's already going on in the prospect's mind, right? So if you're not clear on who you're talking to, it's very hard to enter that conversation, right? So I think nothing is more important than that in the whole foundation. In fact, I always went through exercises, Chad, where I would actually write out, I'd give a name, where their hobbies or activities, really get to know this ideal person, because then I can have a better conversation, because I want to bring in all these other things that can create unity or take advantage of reciprocity, authority, to inculcate all of those other elements. You need to know who you're talking to.
Love that.
Understanding what you want is paramount.
Yeah.
And Gary, you always talk about that. And Colleen, to your point, understanding what you want is paramount, because what is the principle that you always talk about, Gary? When you know what you're looking for, it's everywhere. Like when you Colleen, when you buy that car that, I've never seen this car before, and then you get in it and it's everywhere.
Yep.
Right. Is it the Baderhoff?
Yeah. Bader Meinhof.
There you go. That's a large word, but that principle, but that principle is real. And so the more crystal clear you can get on your target market, the greater the opportunity is for you to attract those ideal clients for you. Now, and we'll talk to in our coaching program, Colleen, Gary, and I will talk to attorneys, and they'll say, oh, I love working with these clients. And you go, oh, great. How often do you spend time with them? Rarely. I spend all my time with these clients.
Right.
Well, why? because I've got to pay my bills. No, I promise you, you get crystal clear on your target market, those clients are everywhere.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, that's number one, crystal clear on our target market. Number two, Gary, give us number two.
So Chad, so if I'm not mistaken, Colleen and I just answered your question for you, but you still want me to do number two. Is that right?
Yes, that's how it works. That's how it works.
You get paid extra for this question.
So perfect. So, I think the first thing we want to do is realize that, objections really are opportunities for us, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about incorporating objections into the communication, well, first, let me just say that an objection is different than a smokescreen, right? And what an objection is really just a person expressing concerns or hesitation that might prevent them from holding back. But I remember a few months ago, we actually did a training where I was talking about how revealing some weaknesses are actually really positive in the sales process. So one of the things that I think, I've observed over the last 20 years is how oftentimes law firms will unpack all the reasons why you might want to retain them, and then they kind of save the bad news for the last, thinking that and hoping that they've overwhelmed the prospect with so many positive things that negative thing is going to be overlooked. But what's so interesting is by reversing that and putting the weakness up front, it builds trust and credibility. So and an example might be if you had high prices, if your fees were higher than the rest of the market, well, bring that up, address it, use that potential objection as an opportunity to build trust and credibility, which helps in the conversion process.
What do you think the biggest objection is? Because you said the P word.
I said, which word did I say?
P word, price.
Oh, price.
We're an industry where paying for legal fees is not really high on anybody's list. I know that if I had to pay for a lawyer, I wouldn't be thrilled to do it, but it's a necessary evil sometimes. But being able to justify why you are priced the way you are is so important. And you do that, right, Gary, with value. You're showing the client the value that you could provide in the solution. And I feel like that's such a huge objection.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think that probably the fee is right up there with number one or two, but that really does give the law firm the opportunity to highlight their value proposition and explain why their billing method might be more effective. Because we've done this. Obviously we have clients who do hourly billing, we have fixed fee, we have flat fee. And I can easily explain why each one of those is superior to the next, right?
Yeah.
It's all about addressing what's going on in that prospect's mind. So I think you're right, Colleen. It would be the P word, price is probably be the number one. But not to go on and on, but like there's more reasons to really share objections, like if you know what you're trying to attract and push away, you can use some of these objections as ways of pre-qualifying leads, or even position yourself as an expert. I think if I were to sum this up, I guess what I would be saying is candor is oftentimes your best way of addressing concerns. Just share it and make sure that it's framed in the right way. Objections are opportunities when handled properly.
That's huge. That is huge. And what, unfortunately, in so many law firms we see that when an objection comes in, people get defensive. When an objection comes in, we think that, oh, that person's a jerk. But the reality is, Gary, to your point, and hopefully everyone listening really has this tattooed in their brain. Objections are opportunities. Objections are opportunities. And so it's critical to remember that.
Yeah, I just wanted to share one thing. I think because I reflect back on my whole journey, and I think confidence is so important. And if you know what your objections are, and you know verbatim how you are going to respond, it takes a whole bunch of pressure off, and you're no longer fearing that. And I think that's because people will always say to me, "Oh, what do you say? What do you say?" Well, okay, if that's the thing that you're stumbling over, let's lock down something that you're going to say that is consistent with who you are and gets the message across, and then you'll embrace those objections in the future, and you will get more favorable results when doing so.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so number one, get clear on your crystal clear on your target market. Number two, utilize objections in your messaging so that you bring in those right types of clients. And then number three, Colleen, finish us off with number three.
So nurture those said clients. We use a term around here called stop the shop. Consumers are very impatient, and I am number one in that queue. But if you do not answer the call or respond right away, the consumer is going to keep jumping until they find someone to answer the phone. So not only do you have to stop the shop initially, you then need to nurture the client. And again, it's going to vary dependent beyond practice area and location on what strategy and techniques you're using. But the individual may not close on the first call. We love first call closes, but it may not happen. And how do you keep track? How do you nurture that client to get them comfortable with you so that they sign up when you call on the second or third time? So nurture is so important. Chad likes to say what is it? Everybody's favorite subject is themselves. Well, treat the consumer like that. That's your potential client. Nothing is more important than this potential client. So nurture them, make them feel good, and get them excited to work with you. So I think that is a huge part. And the lead quality games, it's tough. It's so competitive out there. We only hear the bad. I never get a fruit basket for, hey, thanks for giving me $1 million case. Maybe they don't know my address. Maybe that's the holdup.
That's exactly right. But all of us, though, that's the way we're wired. Yeah. Even when we find a product that we want, even when we find a service that we want to engage with, our initial reaction is always, I'm just looking. I'm just looking, right? That's how we react initially. And so creating that contact. Now, Gary, you always say that a client hires the first law firm they connect with. Yep. Right. But you can't connect with them unless you are answering the phone. Now, I'm going to broach a very sensitive subject here. We at Lawyer.com are reaching out to attorneys every day. Yep. And we're talking to attorneys every day. And some of you, and I dare say the majority of you, your office is very difficult to get a hold of.
Yes.
And I dare say all potential new clients do not have the persistency that we have at Lawyer.com.
True.
So when you're saying, oh man, I've got to improve my lead quality, and Colleen, you're saying stop the shop.
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to stop the shop when you don't answer the phone or you don't engage. Now, most attorneys, when we talk to them, they will say their intake process is awesome, or they'll say it is good. But the reality is it's not. And I say that with confidence because you may be the one exception. Now, if you say you're the one exception, I also am nervous about that too, right? Because it's like, as a parent, I never say my kids aren't doing something because they're probably doing it while I'm saying it. And so be careful what you say and do the homework to find out, because we know from personal experience how difficult it is to get a hold of attorneys, to get a hold of their law offices.
If you ever want us to secret shop your law firm, We have had experience doing thousands of secret shoppers, and you really need to understand what's going on the front lines of your law firm.
That's
Yeah.
and let me just finish with this. This wasn't what I was planning on sharing last, but I'm gonna share it anyway because it goes great with what you said in stop the shop. Number
Yeah.
3, stop the shop. Get your target market nailed down. Use objections in your messaging and then stop the shop and really nurture that. With that being said, I'm going to share this one of the events we had, Colleen. There was someone there at the event that we did a secret shopper with who realized through the secret shopping experience that their receptionist of 20 years had been giving out their competitor's website
Right.
every time someone asked, "What's your website?" Now, in her defense, the website names were very similar. It said the city, I won't divulge too much here, but it said the city and then divorce attorney and family attorney. They were very similar. But for 20 years, she'd been giving out the competitor's website. And so when you talk about stop the shop, I remember sitting with him at lunch and he did not eat.
Yeah, I
He
wouldn't
just sat
either.
there. He just sat there in total disbelief. And by the way, he loved his receptionist. So he took ownership of it the right way. The point is simply this: we have to stop the shop. We have to look inward.
Yeah.
Look inward. And let me give this a parting thought. And Gary and Colleen, if you want to share anything as we part, before you say my lead quality is terrible, look inward.
Mm.
Before you say my lead quality is terrible, look inward and say, am I doing everything in our firm to make sure that we're taking care of some of these leads? Because I promise you this, everyone listening right now has had big cases walk out of their firm and onto another firm because they didn't look inward.
Right.
Perfect. Anything else, Colleen, Gary, you want to share before we hop off?
I was just going to do a mic drop. That was awesome, but I don't want to drop my mic, so I just did the pencil. But
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, we appreciate it.
Awesome. Great seeing all of you. Have an awesome day, everyone.
Bye now.